Good morning, everyone. It's October 30th. Welcome to the latest edition of the Fast Track Parent and Guardians Q&A information videos, where our goal is always to try to help you hear what's going on in our community, hear what's going on with your student, and a place where we can encourage you about how to best encourage your student. Today, I have the esteemed privilege of being joined by Miss Brandee Bradley. She is a Fast Track academic advisor, and she has got a presentation for us today just to kind of talk through some things related to registration, which is, I know, in addition to final exams, is something that's on a lot of your minds. So she's going to clear some of that up. And Brandee, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And I'm going to ask you to share your screen and take it from there. And I'll chirp in with questions if I have any.
Okay. Thanks, Gray. I appreciate it. I'm Brandee Bradley, and I'm Fast Track Academic Advisor. And as Gray mentioned, the academic advising has been going on. It's currently in full swing. About September 14th, we sent out emails to all Fast Track students, encouraging them to contact their Fast Track advisor for to set up a schedule to meet with Fast Track advisor for registration for both winter intersession and spring 21. You have an advisor hold, and you cannot register until you meet with an advisor. And so what I want to talk to you today about is how to do that, and how to register, and how to contact either myself or Miss Jackie Certion, who is also academic advisor for Fast Track. So I'm just going to share my screen. Yes. Okay. So let's start off with this first. Okay. Academic advising has been going on. As I mentioned, we sent out emails September the 14th to all Fast Track students, but officially advising season started October 12th, and it runs through November the 9th. Registration starts November the 2nd with priority registration on the 9th, and it goes on the 4th. I'm sorry, 2nd. There we go. I'm sorry. And it goes through the 9th. Some important dates for you to notice. The course modality is finalized, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. October the 30th. Right now, they're just kind of trying to decide a lot of questions about are the classes going to be face-to-face, or they're going to be all online, and that's going to be finalized today. As I mentioned earlier, November 2nd.
So, I'm sorry, Brandee, just to interrupt you. So what you're saying is, and again, we've talked about this before, but I just want to repeat it for everyone. When your student is registering for classes, they will be able to check the modality, and that will be the modality. It will not change.
It will not change. It will not change. It's supposed to be, it should be finalized today.
And we recognize that was a big issue this summer. And again, with just the changing face of the pandemic, it was really difficult for us to, and honestly, something we did not have control over as Fast Track. But this semester, you're going to have and again, that was unprecedented and unacceptable. But unfortunately, it was just the reality of the situation. But moving forward in this semester, your student will know what modality their classes will be executed in for the spring semester.
Right. I do want to mention that winter intersession, if your student decides to go to winter intersession, all winter intersession classes will be online.
Right, yeah.
Face-to-face.
Absolutely. In winter intersession, for those of you that may not be familiar with it, is an opportunity for students, if they want to maybe pick up a 3-hour course early in January before the spring semester starts. And it's an opportunity to maybe lighten their load for the spring and take one course that is intensive, but only for about, I think, 12 days of actual course instruction. But it's typically when it's in person, it's typically about 4 hours a day. So it would be a lot of work quickly, but it is the opportunity for a student to focus on just one, to focus on just one class exclusively. And so really a lot of great opportunities for learning. And then a great way to just not have to feel like you have to take as many classes necessarily in the spring. Typically this is not something a lot of first year students do, but definitely some do. So it's definitely something to take advantage of, and that your student can reach back out to their academic advisor, whether it's Miss Brandee or Miss Jackie, if they want to explore that option. Now, it's typically a very limited number of courses that are offered during winter intersession. I should say that. Okay. Sorry,
Right.
back to you.
A lot of freshmen have never even heard of winter intersession, and I like to describe it as summer school during the winter.
Right.
So, gonna get that. Then November the 6th is when most freshman registration windows open. However, priority registration will open either November 2nd or November 4th, and priority registration are those with SDS, Student Disability Services, the provost scholars, or athletes. So most freshman windows will open November the 6th. And then November 2nd through the 30th is phase 1 for winter and spring of 21. And then on December 11th, the classroom assignments will be finalized. A lot of your students are asking, am I going to be able to reach it from this class to this class in the right amount of time? But yes, you can walk anywhere on campus.
Right. So that's something that doesn't need to hold them up from
Sure.
signing up for something.
Right. Okay. So what can you do right now? Schedule a meeting with your FASTrack advisor. Should have received an email with instructions on how to do that. You can always contact me at bradley3@olemiss.edu or Miss Jackie Certion, JCERTION @olemiss.edu. I advise business and accounting majors and some freshman studies. If you're a freshman studies major, you can contact either or. Be glad to help you with that. You can also go in and add your classes to my favorites in my Ole Miss, and we're going to talk briefly about that in just a second and how to do that. You can also check your registration window. As I mentioned, most freshmen will register on the 6th, and then you can register for classes when the window's open. Let me show you how to do that real quick. If you just open up your My Ole Miss, and this is My Ole Miss, and you go into your student tab under course registration, and those 10 apps, you can check your registration window to see when you register. And this is my registration window. Mine is the 4th because I'm in grad school, or would be in grad school. So this is how for spring semester or winter intersession, the first spring and second spring typically don't register for those. Those are broken in half. And what you'll want is the spring semester and how to do that.
And Jackie, I'm sorry, Brandee, I apologize. So that's saying when your window opens. Now, it doesn't mean that that's when you have to register. Obviously you want, if you have class, if your student has class then, or something, other kind of commitment that doesn't allow them, for instance, for it to open, for them to start registering at 8 a.m. at a certain time. That's okay. It just means it will be open starting at that date in perpetuity.
Right.
So we do encourage students to, as soon as they possibly can, to register, but it's not something that they have to, that takes priority over a class or something like that.
Right. That's what you'll want to do. You'll want to go ahead and have your classes added to your favorites, and we'll talk about how to do that. You can, again, in your student tab, if you go to course registration, you can go to my course favorites. And then here you'll have to change this to spring semester. and then you'll have to add to my favorites. And this is where and I can't do it because I'm not,
Right.
but you'll see where you can search for your classes. Then after this,
And
this
these
is
are the
where
classes that you can search for those once you've
met
had
with
your
your
meeting,
advisor.
Jackie or Brandee.
Right. After you've met, we'll talk about which classes you'll need. You'll go in and search for those. And then you'll start to like build your schedule. Say, for example, you want writing at 8 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You'll search for that class. Then you'll have another class, but you can't have it at the same time. And that's why it's important to know when your registration window opens. When your registration window opens, then you can just go back in, click on your favorite classes, and then register for them. So I think that's important. Another a good website is to go to the Office of the Registrar and just type in Google Office of the Registrar Spring 21 Ole
I'll
Miss.
also put this link, if you'll send me this, I'll put this link in the description of this video. So.
Okay, we'll do. Here, this is Spring 21 registration information. You have your academic calendar, your course schedule, and that's where we just came from the student tab, which is the same thing. This about registration, there's a different by school, schedule adjustment, and then there's how to register. So if you'll click on the how to register, there's detailed instructions, preparing for priority registration, but this is detailed instructions, and it goes and gives you screenshots about how to register and how to add them to your course favorites. You just drop down to your course favorites, then you'll search for, and this is 2014-15, so it's been around a while. We've been doing it a while. Then you'll click and add them to your favorites, and then your course schedule. You'll add them to your favorites. And there again, this is a very helpful website when registering. But none of this can be done until you meet with your advisor, because you do have an advisor hold. We'll have an advisor hold until you meet with either Jackie or myself.
And most of you all, most of your students have, but that's
Yes.
something they need to check in with. If they've met with their advisor, they have courses in their course favorites.
Yes, courses in your course favorites. So these are some things that you can do now. Check your registration window and go ahead. If you haven't scheduled, if your student hasn't scheduled a meeting with your advisor, make sure that that's done before your registration window opens, so you can get your classes that you do need. We talked earlier about the class modalities for Spring 21. There will be face-to-face classes in the spring. There's also the hybrid classes.
Actually, Brandee, I believe the technical term is mask to mask.
Mask to mask. You're right. Excuse me.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah, well, we do need to change that, don't we? And then there's the hybrid class where you'll have some meetings on campus and then some virtual class meetings.
Right. All your students, EDHE 105 class this fall, were hybrid.
We're hybrid, yes. And what about the EDHE 106?
Those are going to be all mask to mask.
Mask to mask. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Then there's the remote classes, which is the virtual class meetings, and then your online web courses.
So online or web, that means that that you're not having to check in at a certain time. You're just simply getting the assignments, and there are different teaching methods that are used for you to communicate your knowledge of the information and to perform the assignments. So.
Yes. So how will you know which one is the class that you're choosing and which one that you're adding to your favorite? When you go into your favorites, when you choose, it will say section 1, for example, will be mask to mask or face to face. But then to the side, it will say web or hybrid class or remote. So when you go searching for classes, it will be indicated. The time will be there, and the modality will also be
perfect
there.
Yeah.
And these are this is Miss Jackie, and she can be reached at jcertion@olemiss.edu. And there's my email address. So check with your student to see if he or she has met with the academic advisor. If not, there's an academic hold. And if so, you just find out about the class schedules, class um, for the spring or for winter, or anything else, any other questions, please contact me. I'm always around. I'm
Okay.
going to stop
Yeah.
sharing now, Gray.
I'll link y'all's emails in the video as well. Yeah, you can go ahead and stop
Great.
sharing.
Okay, good deal.
Okay, great. Well, okay, I guess one last question while I'm thinking about it. So just in case a student hasn't met with their FASTrack academic advisor, either you or Jackie, and I know that you said that you primarily advise accounting and business majors and a few freshman study students, and everyone else is advised by Jackie Certion.
Right.
What if a student does not know who their advisor is? Obviously, that would be rare, but just for the sake of clarity.
Okay, just email me. Just email me and say,
Okay.
hey, I don't know who my academic advisor is.
Perfect.
I can look that up. I can, put you in the right direction, or you can just meet with me, or whatever it needs to be done. On the FASTrack homepage, there's schedule an appointment under Meet the Staff.
Mhm.
If you go in and put email virtual advising, schedule an appointment, whatever's convenient for you, then Ms. Jackie or myself will send you a Zoom link. We'll talk. It takes about 15 minutes,
Okay.
15, 20 minutes, and get it done. We'll lift that advisor hold, and you can register when your window opens.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Well, and as we've seen, how to check when that window opens. So, Brandee, thank you so much for your time. And I just say personally, it is a pleasure to labor alongside you in serving students. We're
Yes.
so thankful for all of you that are watching this, for entrusting your student with us this fall, especially during such a bizarre semester. But thank you so much, Brandee, for your time, and
Sure.
I'll see you soon. I'll see
All
you.
right.
FASTrack Friday is beginning soon, so hopefully a lot of your students will
Yes.
be there, and I'll see you there, Brandee.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thanks,
much.
Greg.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Next, we're delighted to welcome Dr. Peter Wood, professor of theater, or as we say in the Deep South in Mississippi, theater. Is that correct? Professor of theater here at the University of Mississippi, and he teaches Theater 201, and many of your students are enrolled in his class this semester. So Dr. Wood, I'm going to let you take it away from there. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I do want to preface anything that I say with the fact that there are two separate instructors for Theater 201, Dr. Matthew Shiflett and myself, Dr. Peter Wood. And we do have, as we're different instructors, we have different takes on things. We use a different textbook. We try to keep the plays that we have our students read the same. So there are some differences. So if there's a student who's in Dr. Shiflett's class, there will be some differences in the approach and in the actual content material. But in general,
Right.
some of the big changes that we've seen tend to be just around the fact that our usual classes in all sections are hybrid classes, both because these are fairly large classes. Matthew teaches the 9:30 and 11 sections. So his classes are actually a bit bigger than mine usually, because I teach the 8 a.m., and 9:30 classes. But because they are that size, we do teach this regularly in a hybrid situation. So what that means is that most semesters, a large chunk of the actual sort of content of the work happens online, and that hasn't changed. You know, a lot of the textbook assignments, quizzes, things like that happen through both Blackboard and the textbooks that we use. What has unfortunately happened with, you know, the end of last semester and this semester is that we've gone completely online. And so usually we have one face-to-face meeting with each section
each week
instead of
right
each week. So instead of two. So that's how we can teach 6 sections of this in the space of 2 days,
right
Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so we are missing that once a week interaction. And the way I tend to try to use that is less going over the material and using the material as a starting off point for bigger discussions about the topics that are raised in the material. And so that's been a bit of a struggle. And I know it's been a struggle for the students, but it's also been a struggle for us. And it's sometimes hard to translate, even if I do a video message or a video lecture or things like that. Sometimes it's hard to translate our excitement and love of theater through this medium. I think everybody does their best, but some of that passion has been lost. But I think that overall, what I have struggled to do in the class and with the biggest changes is just try to continue to bring my presence both through interactions with students. I tend to try to get involved with discussions or blog posts that I have them do. And I obviously can't respond to every single person, but I do try to dip in here and there and make sure that I'm part of the conversation. And I think that, and I've heard from other students, you know, in our department who have asynchronous classes like this that are completely online, and they struggle with that as well. And so I think one of the key things going into the end of this semester is if you've been struggling with the format of this kind of asynchronous online experience where we don't have classes, we don't have face-to-face or even Zoom meetings, you are not alone at all. This is a very difficult style of approaching new material. And if it has been a struggle for you, just know that from the beginning. You're not alone. Everybody struggles with this. There are professors out there who, if they were asked to go take an asynchronous, completely online class, who would have similar struggles to what you're going through. So, so it's okay. This is not something that you are failing if this has been a struggle for you. This is a struggle for many, many people. That said, I think the best way to approach any class, whether it's hybrid, fully online, or even completely face-to-face in normal circumstances, is make an engagement with the class. Even if it's a gen ed, even if it's not something that you're super interested in, find a way to engage with it and engage with the professor. The best way to make a mark, especially in a large class, in a large gen ed, is to make use of the professor's office hours. It's come to my attention over the last year or so that especially a lot of students who are, you know, the first in their family to come to college, might not understand that a professor's office hours are really your office hours. They're really time put aside for you. And so even though they're called my office hours, they're really designed for students to come and use that time to connect with their professors, to ask questions, to get clarification. I know that even if we're not meeting face to face, I have virtual office hours every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And as going forward, not just with this semester, but going forward, if you are kind of in those anonymous classes, especially the big gen eds, make those connections. It can be super important to just be on a professor's radar. I mean, and make that connection and show that engagement, and that means a lot to especially gen ed teachers, you know, because we are used to a lot of people who have a lot of different interests, and it's okay. I don't expect everybody who takes this class to fall in love with theater, but my hope is that there's something in the class that can engage you. And if you reflect that back to me that, oh, you know what, this theater history of this section isn't interesting to me, but this new idea of immersive theater where you're actually involved with going into a building and you don't sit and watch a theater, you're actually surrounded by it and you interact with the audience, interact with the actors. Like, that's really exciting to me. It's always really great to make those connections. And so that's my biggest advice for just all classes, especially larger classes where it's hard to make that connection. Going into the end of this semester, I think is the best thing to do, again, is reach out. If you've been struggling, or if you have questions, or if you're unsure about what's happening over the next couple of weeks, especially with the shortened semester, reach out to your professor. I know some professors can be intimidating, and I know that some professors might not be super friendly. I mean, you know, that's just a fact, and I can't control their behavior. I can't control how they treat students, but I can guarantee that if you don't reach out, you'll never know what they can do if you need help. Absolutely. Or if you need support. And so, you know, there are some, and I'll be honest, there are some professors who don't give a lot of support. They expect you to do it. But there are other professors with other sensibilities who are happy to give you that extension, or, you know, just answer your questions or give you the support that you need, especially in this type of environment. Right. So I would just suggest, if there's any doubt in your mind about your grade or anything that you've been struggling with for the semester, even though we only have a few weeks left, reach out and say, you know what, this has been my experience. This is what I've been struggling with. Is there anything we can do to kind of stick the landing on these last few weeks? If they can't, they can't. But if they can, that can be a really big support. And even if they can't give you something specific to help, just making that connection shows that you're engaged, right? Shows that you care, and those types of things do have meaning in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. And the alternative is knowing that, like, you maybe left some opportunities on the table when you get to check that final grade. That's something I talk to students a lot about. Usually I say after Christmas, when you get home for Christmas, but now it's when you get home for Thanksgiving. I said, when you get home for Thanksgiving and you check those final grades, even if you see some ones that you're disappointed in, you want to at least say, hey, I did everything I possibly could, and this is what happened, you know?
Right.
You can work with that. Like, there can be, you know, and, you know, it's, you know, you can make your GPA start looking like this, and that's okay. It doesn't have to start up here at the, you know, your freshman year. But right. Things like making a connection with professors like you're talking about,
yeah,
even if sometimes it winds up not being helpful. I think most of the time it will be, but even if it doesn't, you can say, I did everything I could, right?
It also gives you practice in approaching people and saying, you know what, I need some assistance here. You know, and that practice is a good one. There's been studies that show first generation college students ask for help significantly less than those who have families who have a background in college experiences. And so a lot of times students won't ask for the support when the support is there. And so definitely just reach out and and it makes a big difference. And especially to those of us teaching these larger, more anonymous classes, it really makes our passion and dedication mean something more when we hear from you and when we get some reflection back. And especially in these days, that can be really, really helpful to everybody involved with the class.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. Well, this has been really helpful, Dr. Wood, and
I'm glad.
those of you who have students in his class will pass on this information to him. And I think a lot of the same things goes for Professor Shiflett's section. While that
Absolutely.
While some of the actual content may be a little different, the sentiment is the same. And
yes.
Dr. Wood, I'm just so grateful for your time, and thank you so much again.
Absolutely. And just, I wish everybody a happy and safe rest of the year. Take care of each other and be kind to each other and be well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Wood.
All right. Bye-bye.
So we've heard today from Ms. Brandee Bradley and Dr. Peter Wood. And I will say first, just kind of it's fresh on my mind with Dr. Wood, one of the things that's been encouraging to me, and something I already knew or strongly suspected, but it's been encouraging to me, and I hope it's been encouraging to you and your student to see just kind of that there are these professors that will give of their time on a Friday morning just to get out a message, not only to their students, but to the parents and guardians of their students. This has been a really tough semester for your student, for your family. We know there's so many other personal challenges that have emerged as a result of this plague for all of you and for your student. And it's been really, really difficult for everyone. But there are a lot of people here at the University of Mississippi that really care about your student, really care about your experience as a parent, and recognize that and want to be helpful. And we at FASTrack are first in line to want to be there for you. And I know that there have been times you guys have reached out to me and I haven't had good answers for you. And I hate that. I wish I had great answers that would make everything better for us all. Believe me, I do. But those days are coming where things are more back to, or have more semblance of normalcy. And no matter how this semester shakes out for your student, one of the first things I talk about when I teach students in EHE 105 is using experience, using mistakes, using good things and bad things for how to inform how you live moving forward. And no matter how the semester shakes out, this is a great learning experience in the development of each of the special young people that you guys have placed us, have given us the opportunity to help make the transition from high school to college. So thank you for your questions again this week. At this point, they all kind of center around two big themes. Number one is registration for the spring semester. And I think Ms. Bradley cleared up most everything today. I'm going to link her that. If you look in the description of this video, you'll see her and Ms. Certion's email, and also a link to some of the to the website that she showed you around on today that really answers a lot of questions about registration. But it is good that, there are a lot of students not in our program that maybe don't know who to go to help with advising and putting classes in their favorites for the spring. And so we're glad to be able to offer that service and just have two wonderful professionals in those roles that I know I would be giddy if either of my boys were in college and they had Miss Brandee or Miss Jackie as advisors. I would sleep a little better that night. Wouldn't grow any hair back, but I would sleep a little better that night. So if you do have additional questions about that, you can reach out to them or reach out to me. I'm happy to help as best I can. And also another reminder is that when your student comes back in the spring, sometime in February, maybe early March, they'll reach out to your student again to help them register for next fall. And yeah, so just know that this is, part of the service we're providing you in FASTrack is really trying to set you up academically for getting adjusted to college. So again, if there are additional questions about advising and the windows opening, please let me know or let Miss Brandee or Miss Jackie know. Second kind of broad theme was a lot of questions about tutoring. Where does my student, get tutoring for a specific class? And the first thing I would say is that is a completely circumstantial question in terms of like different professors in different disciplines, different subjects, different classes have different opportunities or options for tutoring. The only classes that FASTrack offers exclusive tutoring for is Chemistry 101 and DS 099. And those are done by Miss Jasmine Kennedy. And if your student is in one of those classes and is needing some extra assistance, they've been reached out to multiple times this semester by Jasmine to join the tutoring group. There's a group me, and then they kind of break off into smaller groups, and then Jasmine does some one-on-one tutoring. So your student, if they're in either of those classes and in our program, have been corresponded with about joining these sessions. And again, I do want to say, I get it that some students are taking to email better than others. But what I tell people all the time is that, or tell freshman students all the time is that, look, old people like email, and old people are the ones that are, the gatekeepers for getting what you want in terms of a degree from this university. And so being a diligent email checker, having it on your phone, responding to messages as they come in so they don't pile up is, as we all know, just part of being an adult in 2020, and something that I recommend that they just have to get on board with. And I know that sometimes that takes more time for some students than others. So beyond those two classes, FASTrack does not offer any tutoring that is through our office per se. So what I would recommend doing is, if your student is looking for tutoring right now and they haven't been earlier in the semester, is to reach out to the professor, just like Dr. Wood talked about in that class. And if the class has a TA, a teaching assistant, their names and emails would also be on the syllabus for the class. Reach out to them as well. Maybe put them on the same email and just say, hey, I'm wondering if there are any review sessions before finals or tutoring opportunities that I could take advantage of between now and the end of the semester. And it's going to look differently in different classes. Like I know, for instance, in math does offer tutoring. We talked about that before, just math.olemiss.edu, and you can click on the tutoring resources there, and students in each class can access tutoring. It is remote. The Writing Center is always available, as we've talked about before, for Writing 101. And then students in psychology have the ability to do supplemental instruction, the SI sessions that are weekly sessions that they've had access to and has been promoted all semester. So if that doesn't encompass the kind of tutoring you and your student are looking for, it starts with the professor in that class and the TA. And if you want help thinking about like how to reach out to them and how to phrase that email or anything like that, please drop me a line at gray@olemiss.edu. I'd be delighted to help with that. So those are the two main themes of the questions. I guess kind of leave you with a few thoughts, and that is to reiterate what I've been saying since the last video, and what I've been trying to communicate with students and with you one-on-one when I've had the opportunity, is that right now we are in a sprint to the end of the semester. The most important thing your student can do is take inventory of each class via the syllabus, not necessarily Blackboard. Some professors are very regimented with their Blackboard use, and some are not at all. But the syllabus is something we can always cling to. So take inventory and see, okay, what points are still out there, whether it's attendance, whether it's homework, whether it's participation, whether it's small activities like a journal post or a blog post or a journal entry, or whether it's big things like a paper or an exam. Going ahead and knowing, okay, these are the points I still have left for the semester, and really budgeting, ready for the student to budget their time in that way, so they're really working towards maximizing the points on each thing they have left. And so that can also look like reaching out to the professor and saying, you know, I recognize that maybe my participation or attendance wasn't perfect or exemplary at the beginning of the semester. Is there a way I can work to improve that in the time we have available? Again, this is why we talked about, you know, it's important, and Dr. Wood talked about that today, making the connection early on so we're not scrambling to them towards the end of the semester. But the reality is we want to do that as opposed to never doing anything, right? That's the only way to completely fail, is to completely give up in this situation. So I really recommend your student take inventory of every class they are taking. And also just encouraging them that, look, you know, this semester, the way their senior year ended for most of them is not fair. It's not good. It's heartbreakingly sad. But they have the opportunity to emerge on the other side of this pandemic with a set of, with a degree of self-confidence and a degree of gratitude and a degree of perseverance that will be unique to them for the rest of their lives. This is a setback that we all need to, myself chief among them, use to improve the way we live our lives in the future. And your student has got an opportunity to really emerge from this pandemic braver and stronger and battle tested, quite frankly. So with that, I'll close my time today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in all semester. Actually, last week I had my first parent recognize me. I was walking in the Grove on a Friday afternoon. They saw me and said, "Oh, I recognize your face and voice from the videos." So of course I had my mask on, so it's a little difficult, but still it's very flattering for me. So thank y'all. If you haven't already, please subscribe to these videos. And I'm about to head out to FASTrack Fridays. As I talked about earlier this week, it is our second FASTrack Fridays event that we've been promoting to your students. It's a time just to hang out and get to know other students and do some physically distanced but fun activities in the Grove. It's happening today from 11:30 to 1:30. And thank y'all so much.